$65,000 Australian is what this car cost back in 1995. That's nearly $130,000 in today's money. Such a beautiful machine. Another one saved. Keep watching and see what we did to save this thing from going to the scrap heap in 48 hours. Thomas and I worked our asses off, smashing this one out in record time. And we're giving this car away to one of you lucky people, so all details in the link. The gods decided to send me to a work location to do some photography at this home that was coming up for sale, and the owners had to completely remove everything from the property, and this car was sitting in the driveway for about 3 or 4 years, being used as a storage unit to store random items. It had spiderwebs all over it. It was sitting there unlocked in a suburb in Melbourne, Victoria. Let me know if you've seen this car sitting in its location. This car immediately grabbed my attention. So I was doing my thing, taking photos, and I overheard the owner say that everything has to go in the house. Of course, I butted in and said, "What are you doing with the old Ford at the front?" He said, "Well, everything has to go so you can speak to the owner." I said, "Well, let the owner know that I'll be interested." Hopeful that I might get it for nothing. Well, fortunately, not long after, the owner actually rocked up in a van. A super awesome, really friendly Islander guy. And we had a bit of a chat about the car, and he said that he acquired it off a mechanic and he had plans to do it up and fix it, but just hasn't had the time or money to do it. And I said, "Well, my son and I fix up cars together and we'd love to give it a makeover, and we've got a YouTube channel, we'll make a YouTube video on it." And upon closer inspection, we realized that this thing has the option 5-litre V8. So the LTD Ford, which is the top of the line model, if you walked into Ford in 1995 and said, "Give me your most expensive vehicle on the showroom floor," this is what they would have presented to you. And it's also got the optional extra, which is more money on top, 5-litre V8 engine, which gives this car a wicked sound. And some of you guys have commented saying they're bulletproof. So we agreed on a price, and I organized a tow truck immediately to pick it up and bring it to our workshop. Here's a shot of me rolling off the tow truck. The car was extremely dirty, covered in spider webs, dirt, headlights faded. It had been slightly sideswiped, as most old Fords have. The engine bay covered in dirt and spider webs. The interior in much need of love. The first thing I did was grab a battery to see if this thing would turn over. And to my surprise, it did. However, no luck starting it. I took out the air filter and it looked brand new. Someone must have just serviced this car before they parked it up, because underneath all the dirt and grime, this car seemed to be above average. After closer inspection, I realized that the car had bumps and scrapes and scratches. But I was super keen to see how this paintwork would come up after a cut, polish, and wax. I had to get Thomas involved because his mechanical mind is way better than mine. So he came over, I told him about this random purchase, and I said, "Do you want to come over and help me get it started?" Immediately, he came over. We had a look under the car and realized it's got the factory LSD diff, and we quickly realized that this car's fuel pump was dead, because when you clicked it on, you couldn't hear a prime. It was turning over, but wasn't firing. So we head down to Burson's, who had a fuel pump in stock and a fuel cap because this one was missing it. And Thomas, my 16-year-old son, got to work rebuilding the fuel pump cradle, put it all back together perfectly, and we started this beast up for the first time. Nice work, mate. Immediately after starting the car, we realized that someone had cut one of the crucial water hoses that leads to the heater core. So it started leaking everywhere. The power steering pump was also super noisy. Sound should go away. I'm guessing it either had no fluid or heaps of air in the system. We took off the engine cover to further inspect, and there wasn't really much else we could do until we ordered a new hose in and got this power steering system rebled. So I decided to give the engine bay the most satisfying makeover that it deserved. Upon purchasing this car, I have no intention of keeping it. I just want the satisfaction of cleaning it, and one of you guys can have it. So if you're interested, link, as I said before. Check out some of these clips of the engine bay wash. The beautiful deep purple paint on this car is called Bordeaux. I called it Bordeaux in the last video on one of my shorts, and people corrected me. That's the way I say it, Bordeaux. Sounds more classy. And it's a shame to see so many spider webs and dirt. And the great thing was that there's minimal paint peel on this car, which is quite rare. Have a look at the moss buildup on the rear garnish. What a shame seeing a $65,000 car turn into a garden bed. Spiders had made nest in the door jambs, so we got the high pressure washer in there as their time was due to move out. And then with the heater hose slightly broken, I decided to just take it for a little drive to see if the gearbox shifted properly, and it seemed to drive well. Someone had painted the windows with some kind of deodorant or spray paint, so we wiped that off. And as it got dark and we couldn't see anymore, we moved on to the interior. The interior in this car is a beautiful caramel leather. One of the great things about the Fairlane and LTDs is they have a longer wheelbase, which gives the rear passengers the same, if not more, legroom than the people sitting in the front. So you can comfortably fit 5 adults in this car, giving it a more luxurious drive. Thomas even decided to try his first alcoholic drink with Dad, so I made him a weak whiskey and Coke. If you watched my channel before, you know that I'm semi-obsessed with buffing paint. I just love the before and after, so I called up Andrew from Outrageous Detailing. Hi Andrew, if you're watching this. And he gave me some good tips on what to do. So we clay barred to remove any tar and grime off the paint, and then used a heavy cutting compound to bring back the shine, and then used the machine polish to get rid of any swirls. There still is a few stone chips, but you see that color come back to life. How satisfying. We called it a night, and then the next day I woke up and continued washing and cleaning the car. The boot lid, which was the most faded part of the car, needed some love. So I thoroughly washed the car again with soap this time. It was so dirty it needed multiple washes. And the last thing you want to do is start buffing a car with dirt still in the paint. So I washed and washed and washed, getting the car as good as I could with the time I had. And then back onto the other side of the bonnet using the clay bar from Mothers. Check out their products in Autobahn. Got my dual action polisher and started bringing this paint back to life. Check out the before and after. Of course, it's not perfect, but much better than before. The boot lid was the most faded part on the car. Almost too far gone, but check out the difference that a cutting compound and a bit of wax can do. Later on, we decided to end up repainting this, so stay tuned for that. I did a little test section on the roof here and just check out the vibrance of the color coming out. This is the most satisfying part for me. The windows on this car were disgusting. Nothing makes the car look nicer when you get the windows looking spotless. It just gives the whole car an overall cleaner appeal. Noticing a few scrapes and scratches around the car, I thought this is such a letdown, so I decided to head down to Paint Away and buy a couple of liters of the original color, the Bordeaux deep purple, so we can touch up some of these scrapes. Things end up getting out of hand later on. It was nighttime again, so back onto the interior for a thorough vacuum, getting rid of the old cigarette butts, thoroughly vacuuming the carpets, wiping away years of dust and grime on the gear stick, and progress was happening. The next day ended up being super icy. This was back in the 3rd of July, so winter. I took out my caramel wheel and decided to get rid of the pinstripes that were half chipped off in hopes to replace these. The heater hose that we needed arrived at Repco, so I installed that so this car could run for more than 30 seconds without spraying water everywhere. I attempted to move the rear bar in hopes to paint it. With no success, I thought I'll wait for Thomas for that one. I knew he'd be able to figure it out, and he has more patience than me. With the rear bar on, I decided to scuff down all the scrapes and scratches and fill the dents and chips with some 3M fine filler. And then I thought, stuff it, I'm here already, let's just do the side scrapes along the side of the car. And also the front bar was looking very sad, so while we're there, I sanded that back down as well. Not wanting to spend years bringing this car back without touching up the front bar, I ended up giving it a coat of base coat and realized that the scrapes and scratches actually stand out way more than I thought. So after painting it, I stopped and thought, nah, I'm gonna do it properly and repair it, because it's gonna make all the difference when this car's back cruising on the road again with one of you guys. Another day's progress and time to set up the workshop for painting again. 9 time fell, so back onto the interior, this time getting in there with the brush, bring back that beautiful deep purple in the door jambs, using my detailing brush to get in all the nooks and crannies, and using the air gun, which really helps get into the places that you can't reach. There's so many places in the car to clean, but I find it weirdly satisfying. Here's some progress shots of some of the body repairs. We removed the mirrors from the car as they also needed a lick of paint. And after repairing the bumps and scratches on the front bumper, I gave it a lick of high fill just to get in those little stone chips and scratches. I did the same with the rear bumper, and Thomas was there smashing it out with me every moment that he could. I threw on some guide coat to the front bumper. This is a black powder that sticks to the primer, and after you sand it, it allows you to see any spots you've missed or even low spots that your block may not be hitting. Getting it done quickly, I just used the DA sander, and Thomas was working on the mirrors. We ended up taking the taillights out and the rear garnish and cleaned underneath them thoroughly to minimize any future moisture buildup, and we thoroughly cleaned the inside of the rear bumper as well. After buffing the boot lid and not being happy with the results, I thought, we have base coat now, let's just give that a lick of paint as well. The rear bumper had a crack in it, so we repaired that, and then we masked up the car and got the area ready for some painting. We laid on the beautiful deep purple Bodywork base coat and then hit it with some fast drying clear. It's always such a satisfying day when this happens. And unfortunately, a little spider got into our side mirror. We let the car dry off, took off the mask, and realized that the front lights just look completely faded now. The rest of the car's looking good. We also tried on my black Simmons wheels with the spacers, and then we tried on the G6E turbo wheels with the spacers and decided they looked better. So we've left them on. What do you guys think? I've had mixed reviews. Thomas and I started putting the car back together, putting the tail lights back in, the garnish, the rear bumper back on. I even sourced this brand new chrome strip to put into the bumper bars, as the old one was completely faded and yellow and unable to be brought back. Check out the before and after. So this progress was about 10 days after receiving the car. We attempted to rejuvenate the old headlights without much luck, so we decided to jump on eBay and grab some brand new headlights and indicators, as the indicators were broken, as it was really going to lift the quality of this up and give this really nice road presence. So Thomas got to work fitting the brand new headlights and indicators, bringing back the pure class that this car once had. Realizing that the 5-litre V8 badges on the sides of the car look terrible now, I jumped online and grabbed some restoration stickers to put over the top. I really think to finish this car off properly, it needs the original wheels it came with. So fortunately, I found some online, which the awesome Mr. Dirk Douglas was selling. Hi Dirk, if you're watching this. And I was the first to comment on his post selling these original wheels, and I was happy to drive an hour out to Geelong. I thought this was meant to be, but unfortunately Mr. Dirk decided to sell them to someone else. Not meant to be. Unfortunately, the driver's window regulator randomly broke, so we had to replace that. And I also cleaned up and repainted that plastic in between the headlights. What a difference. I've continued thoroughly cleaning the inside of the car, but this is where it's at the moment. Listen to the sound of this beast roar. There's a few small things I want to do to this car before I give it away to one of you guys. To promote our online car community, we are giving this car away to one of you guys. If you pay for access to our car community, you'll not only be in the draw to win this car, but you also have access to private chat with myself, Thomas, and other people in our community, have the ability to invite us out, come to our exclusive private car meets, watch other videos that aren't on this YouTube channel, ask any questions to us about your project if you need help, motivation, or questions answered. And up and coming in our group, we have courses on engine building, car painting with professionals in the industry. So if that sounds like something that interests you, jump into our car community. And on the 10th of January 2025, which is coming up soon, depending on when you're watching this video, you could be the lucky person I'm calling who wins this car. It's a great family cruiser, it sounds good, it's comfortable, it's got ABS brakes, air conditioning, power windows, doesn't have any crazy modifications that makes it hard to register or get you in trouble with police. This is a family cruiser. I'm not sure if it's P-plate legal, check that out. Probably is, because it's gonna sound good, but it's not that fast. Probably shouldn't say that. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you got a mate who loves these cars, share it with them. And I hope you like this transformation. Stay tuned for more upcoming progress on this car too before the giveaway date. If If you want more car content, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.